Hi there, Taurus. Welcome to your April 2019 Astro Update. It's Rena here, and it is your birthday month, at least for some of you. So this is your solar return, although officially your solar return is when the sun goes back to the same degree as it was in when you were born, so on your birthday or thereabouts. But since the sun begins the month in Aries, that's your 12th house. And that's the hermit house. That's the house of past lives. You may be much more contemplative and quiet than you normally are, Taurus. You may be even physically kind of more in the resting mode, which is perfectly normal as you wait to make your debut again and have a whole new solar year. And it can be very exciting to contemplate that, but at the same time, you're kind of tying up those loose ends. And on the 5th, we have a new moon in this 12th house. So this could be new beginnings with anything spiritual, and it's great for improving that part of life, which is not really active, which is more kind of within you. And being able to tap into that. You are an earth sign, so you tend to be very into the practical, more into that opposite house, the 6th house, that Virgo rules in the universal chart. This 12th house is a little bit, I think a lot of people may get confused about what the 12th house represents. But we all have a soul, right? Well, at least I believe we do. And we have the body. So if we look at the 1st house as the body, the 6th house as the health, and the 12th house as the soul, then we see that our soul has its own needs. And for Taurus, I mean, you may be very receptive to the needs of your body, but your soul may be something that seems very abstract to you. And this is a good time to get in touch with that. And, initiate practices that really support nourishing your soul. On the 10th, Jupiter goes retrograde in Sagittarius, the sign that it rules. And this is going to be in your 8th house, which is other people's money in particular. And Jupiter can bring money. So even in retrograde, you may find that some money that was owed to you by somebody else comes back to you. So how cool is that? I'm trying to remember if I've ever had that happen, where I'm talking about somebody personally, not just, like the IRS. I remember I got so excited last year because, I had to pay my own taxes, having my own business, which was kind of new for me in the last few years. But just this thing of paying ahead of time and getting an extension. And then when it was all said and done, I actually got a check from the IRS for money that I paid over what I owed. And it was it was less than $200. But I was pretty pumped, because just that idea, and I'm a Taurus rising, that idea of just getting that check, I love that feeling. So you might get some kind of check. Maybe it is from the IRS, because this is tax time if you're in the United States. And, or maybe some other type of, what would it be? Insurance payout or something like that perhaps you didn't think you were going to get and you got after all. See, Jupiter, when it goes retrograde, doesn't screw up your life. It might slow it down in that area, but it can also revisit opportunities that somehow eluded you before, and you take advantage of it. And so that could have, so it to me, this has kind of a money ring to it. Now, given the fact that there is that new moon in the 12th house, this might be something with the 8th house that's connected to the occult. If you had wanted desperately to study the tarot under somebody or astrology, and for some reason it was booked up or you didn't have the money at the time, that something may come in where you're able to do that, because, the occult could be associated with the 8th house. On the 17th, Mercury turns retrograde. I don't even know why I said that. I went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, and I do drink coffee, and I haven't had any today, and it's like 1:39 p.m., so please forgive me. Mercury does not turn retrograde. Actually, Mercury is direct and out of its shadow by then. Actually, this may be the day that it goes out of its shadow, because I think it retrograded at 29 degrees of Pisces. So Mercury goes into Aries on the 17th. That's what I meant to say. And so it was in your 11th house, and it's going into that hidden 12th house. So for half the month, Aries, Mercury is in the 11th house, and this is friendships, groups. You may have had, when Mercury was retrograde in this house and during the shadow period, there may have been some misunderstanding with a friend, and it takes a long time to kind of write it and get it going again, the friendship. And this could also be communicating, networking with people that has to do with career matters. Maybe you're getting in touch with people and realize, especially if you have your own business, you may be saying to yourself, what am I doing? Just advertising. I have a wealth of social contacts. Why am I not tapping into my friendships and just getting the word out about this? And you might be doing just that. And then on the 17th, Mercury goes into that hidden house, and it's a great time for quieting the mind, for meditating, for even study of a spiritual nature. This is good for artists. It makes you much more nonlinear. On the 19th, we have a full moon at 29 degrees of Libra in your 6th house of health. This is second time that you have had a full moon. This is back-to-back full moons in that second house, Taurus, and that is significant as well. So getting your health on point, finding out what exactly is wrong, if you've had some kind of weird symptoms, or just, finally coming to terms with how you're going to approach this, how you're going to tackle it. Maybe it's detox. Maybe this period of time has been great times for detox. And especially now, because it's at 29 Libra. So it's at that final degree of learning about your body, what it needs, what it doesn't need. On the 20th, the sun goes into your sign. There you go. So maybe you're going to feel a little bit more animated, more like ready to take on your life. And Venus goes into Aries. So Venus goes into that 12th house. So that means Venus has been in Pisces. And Pisces is that 11th house for you. So Taurus, that can mean that it's possible that you have met someone through a group of friends, and now you're kind of like dating, but you're dating very incognito. You don't want people to know that you're dating, specifically your friends, for whatever reason. Maybe you want to give the relationship time to develop, and you don't want these people, having some kind of, like something to say about the relationship, giving their 2 cents about the relationship, judging it. In the first house, it may be kind of more, it's funny because I still had something written down from the last reading. Actually, going from the 11th to the 12th, Venus is going to be in that hidden house. Eventually, you will come up for air, and you will be in the first house, and maybe then you'll be ready to let people know that you've been dating. But I actually think that's the best thing, if somebody does have a social circle, is to keep your dating on the down low. Not talking about having affairs, talking about just somebody you're dating. So not introducing them to friends right off the bat, because sometimes there are very opinionated people who think they have a right to tell you who to live with. I mean, who to date. And that could end up being something where it's not really fair that they are passing judgment or they're gossiping. You don't need that. And Venus in the 12th can actually be talking about soulmates, twin flames, karmic relationships that are coming front and center. Maybe there's something you need to learn from this particular relationship that goes back many years, maybe many lifetimes. When the sun is in your first house, you just feel more invigorated, vital, so that's good. On the 24th, Pluto goes retrograde in Capricorn. You actually have two of these heavy planets, Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto and Saturn going retrograde in Capricorn within days of each other. On the 29th, Saturn goes retrograde in Capricorn. Both in that 9th house, which is the God house, the house of the university level, teaching and learning. It's the house of travel, and that could combine teaching and learning. I mean, there's all these permutations. But in any case, Pluto being in that 9th house has maybe changed your philosophy of life, Taurus. And you're thinking about your life in a totally different way, or you're getting there. When it's retrograding, maybe you have a crisis of faith. This is not a personal planet, so it may not affect you that personally, but just looking at what it could symbolize, you have to realize that you do have control over your life, and even things that you have believed about life and they have changed to a certain degree, understand where they have stayed the same. It's easy to freak out about change, but chances are there's a lot more of you that has remained true to your core. And Saturn retrograding in that 9th house. If you have been wanting to travel, you may feel like something invisible is stopping you from it. It may not be. Maybe you need more information about something, even though this is not Mercury retrograde, and Mercury is usually about information. I'm thinking that especially for work matters, if you're working overseas, that you need to really know what you're getting into, but also your job may delay it. Saturn can be about delays, but it may come to fruition at some point. So I think this is the best thing that astrology does on the predictive side, is showing us where we feel restricted, and Saturn can be about restrictions too, and how this is just temporary, that this too shall pass. And I remember before I ever had a notion about doing something like this, and I would listen to astrologers or watch astrologers on YouTube talking about various transits, and it would be quite comforting to know, just in a very general way, that what I was going through had a purpose and that it had an end date, that wasn't going to go on forever. So I hope that you keep this in mind when you're dealing with these very challenging but very influential influences. Is that redundant? That can have positive effects. It's too simplistic to say, oh my God, these are, negative effects, Saturn and Pluto. Well, they can also be very positive, long-lasting effects. So I hope that you enjoyed this, Taurus. Happy birthday. Again, if you'd like a private reading, especially a natal chart interpretation to kind of go along with your solar return, please check out my website, rainandmoonastrology.com. The link is below. Take care. Bye.